Hello and welcome. I'm Tanya Charlton. Today we're going to talk about how to get started with teaching states and capitals. If this is your first time with us, go ahead and subscribe to make sure you get updates when we post new curriculum guides to the channel. And if you find this video helpful, give us a thumbs up and let us know what you think. Now, without further ado, let's jump in. Knowing where things are in the world is a tool we give our students in the years when they memorize well. This sets the foundation for their studies in classical history, world history, American history, and Christian studies. We teach the states and capitals first because it's the simplest and most familiar for our students. The goal of this course is for students to master the locations and spelling of all 50 states and to know the abbreviations and capitals, though we don't require young students to memorize the spelling of the capitals. Now, let's talk about what you will need in order to teach states and capitals. You'll need a student workbook for each student and a teacher guide for yourself. You'll also need a resource for your students to do a little research on each state. We don't know much about the 50 states. It's colorful and attractive to students, and it only gives a few paragraphs of information about each state, so it's not overwhelming for the younger student. You might also want the states and capitals flashcards for drill practice and review. Finally, we do have lesson plans for states and capitals for a 1-year pace and a 2-year pace. The advantage to the lesson plans is that they will ensure that you actually get to all 50 states within the course of your school year or 2. If you feel your students aren't ready to master the spelling of 50 states alongside mapping them, it's fine to break this course up into 2 years. We always prefer a longer pace and mastery to a shorter pace and only half learning the material. So what does a typical lesson look like? You always want to start with review. Review is a great starter for any class because it gets those brain cells pumping and transitions students. Review also shows students what they know. It's a great confidence booster before moving into new challenging material. So you'll need to have a blank map that you'll use each week. Point to the states students have studied and have them identify them orally. Also review the capitals they should know. This can be in the form of an oral drill. You call out the state and they give you the capital, and vice versa. The review should only take a few minutes, even when students know quite a few states, because we're teaching to instant recall. If students can't instantly recall the states you point to, that's a sign that you need to spend more time on review. Maybe review daily for a little while until they have it. Once your review is complete, it's time for your new lesson. We've broken the workbook into 6 regions. If you choose the 2-year pace, you'll only do 3 regions in a year, so you'll have longer to work on each state. For the 1-year pace, we generally complete 2 to 3 states each week. To introduce the new state being studied, look at its location on a map. You can actually use the student workbook for this since each state has a complete map inset on the page with the state being studied highlighted. Talk about the surrounding states you've learned, if any, and the shape of the state, anything that makes it easily recognizable. Then look at the spelling of the state, and you can actually use say, spell, say here. Say Arizona, A-R-I-Z-O-N-A, Arizona. Do this several times. Next, teach the abbreviation and capital and write it in the workbook in the appropriate place. The capital will also need to be written on the state map where it is marked with a dot. After you've talked about the state spelling, location, abbreviation, and capital, it's time to move into don't know much about the 50 states. The states are arranged alphabetically in this book, so this is a great opportunity for students to practice finding a page based on alphabetical order. Never waste an opportunity to practice a basic skill. Each state has 1 page of information, making it the perfect first research project for young students. The information isn't overwhelming, but there's plenty to sift through. First, find the nickname of the state, if it has one, and copy it from the Don't Know Much book to the student workbook. Then read the information on the page about the state. This can be student-read or teacher-read, or a combination of both. Stop and talk about the reading to generate interest as you go. Then you're ready for the fun facts part of the workbook. I love this activity because it's the first time we ask young students to find information in a paragraph independently and write it down. It's like an introduction to research, and no answer is wrong. You can do the fun facts in a variety of ways, and you can switch it up for various states. Ask students to write down what they think are the 2 or 3 most important things about the state based on their reading, or the 2 most interesting things, or the 2 funniest things. They only have a couple of paragraphs to work from, so it shouldn't be difficult for them. And this isn't information they'll be tested on, so there isn't any pressure. And finally, with any time remaining, you can have students draw and color the state bird and state flower on their map. There are illustrations for these items on each state page, but they're small, so you may want to locate a larger image online if your student is struggling to draw them. There's a review lesson and test for each region that requires students to be able to locate each state on the regional map and write the abbreviation and capital. Remember, you don't have to require correct spelling for the capitals, but you can use correct spelling as extra credit if you'd like. The final exam at the end of the course is a cumulative test where students have to map the entire United States, along with writing all 50 abbreviations and capitals. This course is a break from lots of reading and answering questions. It should be fun, but it's also providing valuable information that students need to master about the country they live in. So enjoy it, but remember that mastery is the goal, and you will have an opportunity for further review to solidify the states and capitals in your students' permanent memories the following year alongside Geography 1 when students complete the United States Review. Thank you for joining us for today's Teaching Guidelines. If you found it helpful, be sure to check out our Teaching Guidelines playlist that includes resources and tips for curriculum from Memoria Press. As always, subscribe to get more videos like these, comment below to let us know what you'd like to see in the future, and click the bell icon to know when we post new content to the channel. I'm Tanya Charlton. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.